Welcome back to the Dynamic Lifestyle Podcast, everyone. We have the man, the myth, the legend, Nick Unsworth with us. Nick, how you doing today?
I am fired up, dude. Things are great, man. Excited to be here.
Thank you so much. And thanks for taking time out of your busy schedule to, be on with us. So Nick, we like getting our podcast started with just getting to know who you are pretty much. If you want to tell us who your story is, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, for sure. So for me, I've been an entrepreneur my whole life. I had a paper route when I was 6. If you could imagine, like a 6-year-old collecting money, knocking on doors. My brother was 3 years older, so he had one, and I demanded half. But like ever since I was a little kid, I always wanted to be financially free. I always like nice things. I wanted to have that lifestyle. But a huge factor was that I always wanted to be a parent one day, and then to be able to be there for my kids. And I think if you just think about, I don't know, maybe, how you guys were raised, or if, for the audience to think about it, it's like for so many kids, their moms or dads, like they're out grinding, coming home stressed out. And it took a toll on the family. And I just always wanted to love what I do for work. I just always if I could just love what I do for work and just be happy and just, have like a cool life. So I was always on a mission to do that. I started my journey as a little kid, and I picked tobacco at like 14 years old on hands and knees. I mean, I was always hustling. And then fast forward into college, I got into network marketing, and network marketing for me, it looked like it was an opportunity to retire in 5 years, so I got wrapped up in it. I was like, wait, I can retire in 5 years? Are you kidding me? So I just saw that as a vehicle. I never heard about it, didn't know, I just saw that as an opportunity. So dove into that. I actually ended up doing really well, and then the company went bankrupt. So I went from like making some money, as I got out of college. I turned down jobs. So if you can imagine, everyone around me was thinking I was crazy because they were calling it a pyramid scam. Everyone thought I was nuts for what I was doing. Like, you went to University of Connecticut and you get out of school, you turn down Pfizer, you turn down big job opportunities to go do this network marketing thing. And so people didn't get it, but I was so fired up. I ended up, leasing an expensive car and kind of doing those reckless things. And fast forward a few months, I graduated in May of 2004. And by October of 2004, the company goes belly up. And we found out through word of mouth. Like, you'd think that they could send you a card or a letter or like something, you do a robo dial. But like, we found out through word of mouth. And so that was my first hard knocks experience, because my whole identity was all of a sudden crushed. And it didn't look so hot on the resume that I was doing, network marketing, to go back. So, and I didn't want to go back, or I didn't want to go to have a job. So I bounced around. And so I would say for me, that was a first failure. It was a success, and then it was a failure. But then I had 10 more business failures. Now, they had different levels of success. I went from network marketing company to multiple network marketing companies. I got into real estate, moved from Connecticut to San Diego in the summer of 2007. Literally, like, I go from Connecticut to San Diego for this big opportunity in mortgages, because I'm chasing the paper. I'm chasing money. And I get out there to work with a friend. I was supposed to make like $500,000 doing 150 loans. And 2 weeks after I get there, the meltdown freaking happens. The economy just flips up. It implodes. And now I'm in San Diego, and this opportunity that I had completely imploded. And so the timing was terrible. And I ended up licking my wounds from that, coming back to Connecticut. So where I'm going with this is that I was just constantly chasing the dream, and I was chasing it into opportunities that were really focused on money. And so what I realized is, like, I needed to find something that I would truly love doing. I needed to find something that had more meaning and to help people. And so I started a company that was a company that it was basically it was a nonprofit without the designation. I didn't have the actual designation yet. And I built that thing up, and it was going great. I was raising money for big nonprofits like Make-A-Wish and Autism Speaks and Susan Coleman's Race for the Cure. I'm doing all this cool stuff, and it started to take off. I'm like all over the media in Connecticut. It was crazy. There were people calling me like Golden Boy. Everything was going great. People were thinking I need to franchise the thing I was doing, and everything was going good until I got sued for trademark infringement, and everything again went bust. This time it left me in debt. This time it left me scratching my head, because at that point in my life, I was 28 years old. Mm-hmm. So going up and down and being broke and watching your friends get married, watching your friends buying houses, watching your friends have these normal lives. And then here I am, this dude that's been working way harder than a lot of my friends. And yet I keep coming up with nothing, at the end of the year. And so everyone kept saying things like, dude, why don't you just be more like your brother? My brother crushed it. He got a job out of college and he's been crushing ever since. He has an amazing, amazing life on fire with a phenomenal company. He gets to work from home. It's a great lifestyle. And, people that are close to you, start to stop believing in you. And so I started to stop believing in myself. And I found myself at 28 years old in a total of, $50,000 in debt. My health, I was up to 213 pounds, which was no good. They thought I was going to have a heart attack. I used to have to wear a mobile EKG unit on my belt. Wow. With the nodes attached to my chest. And I used to have to take blood thinners. They prescribed me Lipitor. Dude, I was a mess on legs, man. It was bad. And that is not the dream, right? Like, that's not what I wanted. And so, long story short, my mom gives me the book, The Secret, and she writes in it, "I believe in you." And that was one little piece of hope, man. That was the one glimmer of hope and belief that I needed. And so I decided that, I said, you know what, I'm going to do it. My childhood dream was to sell a company before I turned 30. I'm going to tattoo a goal in my chest that I will sell a business by 30, and I'm going to do it. Now imagine everyone around me is like, dude, you're 50 grand in debt. You have no idea what you're going to do. And now you're going to tattoo a goal in your chest. And they're like, dude, you're absolutely nuts. And so I just doubled down on my commitment, and I started to look for, like, and this is a cool exercise for everyone to do. Yeah. It's when you write out your timeline and you write out all the significant events in your life, not just business, but in life and business, all your significant events. And I started to look at it, and I realized that everything, even though while it really sucked to go through a lot of those experiences, but they all had like a silver lining to them, and they all served me in some way. There was always a learning that comes out of it. And so when I thought about the company that had just failed and with the trademark infringement, one of the benefits that came out of it is I realized that traditional advertising is so broken. That was one of the outcomes. So I did commercials and they didn't work. And I realized that online advertising was so innovative and it was so new. And so the silver lining was like, what if I could help other people earn a profit, with a new form of advertising like Facebook ads. So I borrow money and go further into debt. I get to an event, and the event changed my life. The event is where I was there. I was so screwed. I didn't have a choice. So Damon John calls it the power of broke. I was out of options. There was no more people that I could borrow money from. I had to cover $3,000 to pay my bills. I come back from that event. I say, I got it. I'm going to be a Facebook marketing expert. People looked at me and they're like, Nick, if you go back to my profile, I wasn't even on Facebook. Like, well, you're going to be a Facebook marketing expert. You're not even on it. And I said, yeah, but I bought this course on it. I was at this event. There's a need. And so I just believed, and then I focused on helping people get results. So no matter where you're at in whatever business, someone's interested in starting, everyone starts at zero. Look at what you guys do with health and fitness. Like, when you start from scratch, you prove yourself with your results and allow your results to do the talking. Right. It didn't matter that I didn't have some designation or certification for Facebook advertising. It was like, you know what? I'm going to run ads for John Assaraf, crush it for him. I'm going to run ads for Eben Haig and Frank Kern. And I call it the anchor client strategy. I decided to run ads for people who I considered my mentors. And I did them a solid. I did good for them. I took that story, and then people wanted to hire me. So first 30 days I made $5,000. Within 90 days I made 6 figures, and the whole thing took off. Wow. And people ask, like, why did it take off? It's because the value that I was providing was so clear and tangible. You pay me money, I make you more money, and if I don't, you stop paying me. It was as clear. It was as so simple. And it's like for you guys, health and fitness. If someone works with you and they lose 20 pounds, that's a clear result. So everything is about being transparent in your results, and I would guarantee my results. So I took that, ended up selling the business right before I turned 30, exactly like the tattoo says. So bam, made that happen. And from that scenario, I realized that I had actually created a system, and this system is the backbone of everything I do and everything I teach now, is that I got really clear in my vision. So my vision was that I was going to sell a business by 30. I had that vision for a long time, but I really stretched it and clarified it. And the key thing is that I said it was going to happen by the time I turned 30. So I had an end date, so that was the first part, is the vision was clear. I then made a declaration, which was, I put it out there publicly in front of my friends, family, everyone. I put my cojones on the line and said, I'm doing this by then. Before that point, it was in here. Very few people knew that desire. It was just in here. So how easy is it to wiggle out of it? So if you've got a big vision or you've got a big dream and it's just in your head and it's a wish, you're missing out on all this power and all this opportunity by making it public. Because when you make it public, as soon as I did that, there were some people that wanted to support me. There were people that knew someone that needed Facebook ads. There were people that rallied behind me. So resources become attracted to you. So you create your vision, and then you create a declaration, which is you just publicly speak it. Mm-hmm. And that for me is, I went a little crazy, and I did the declaration, and then I added the tattoo. So there's no turning back. And it was massive. And then the next piece was, step 3 is I wrote a letter to myself as if it's already been done. So every day when I would wake up, and I'm still at this point 55 grand in debt, and I'm still overweight, and I'm still struggling, and I'm like, okay, I got to go out and I need to literally go knock on doors on businesses. I need to go hunt, and I need to go to networking meetings and do whatever I had to do to make money. It wasn't fun, right? It wasn't great, but I would read this letter every day, and it would put me in this state where I would be reading what it would feel like, what it would look like the day after I turned 30, after I had successfully sold my business. Mm-hmm. And so what that's doing is it's actually reprogramming your mind. Right. It's rewiring your own brain, because your subconscious mind, like everyone thinks they need to control their conscious mind. It's important, but your subconscious mind is like the bottom of an iceberg. That's the thing that's our main control center. That controls your heart, your breathing. That thing's the real thing you got to master. So by reading a letter as if it's been done, your subconscious mind doesn't realize the difference between pretend and getting in that emotion of reading that letter versus reality. So it thinks that it's possible. It starts to literally create possibilities. You start to see things differently. You start to think it's possible. You start to have this, dude, if you can see, I'm getting goosebumps just talking about it, because it's so crazy what happens. And so I did the letter every single day. Now I'm using the same process for my health. So my vision is to get in really good shape, like 6-pack, crazy best shape of my life. My declaration is to actually compete in a men's physique competition. I saw you guys at the thing in LA.
Yeah.
And that's so far outside of my comfort zone. I have a date, so it's by when, which is March 18th. And I wrote a letter. I read a letter every single day about what it's going to feel like being up there, like super tan, like a Cheeto, like oranged up, and winning, and knowing that it's not about the abs for me. It's about knowing I can do anything I put my mind to.
Right. Love that.
So step number 4 is resourcing up. So I'm in the middle of 2 stories. So I've got my Facebook advertising company and selling it. Resourcing up in that scenario was buying a course about how to do Facebook ads. Resourcing up was buying a $10 book on Facebook ads. Resourcing up was going to a networking meeting, right? So it's, who do you have to become to achieve your vision? Because if we've got this vision, we declare it, we write the letter, but if we don't step into who we need to become, and we don't equip ourselves, and we go into battle with the same tools, or go into battle with like a little dagger, and everyone else has machetes and Uzis, like you're not going to achieve it. So you're not going to win. And so, resourcing up. If I flip to the example of me winning this, fitness competition, I resourced up where I'm not going to the gym. That's a good start. I've got a coach telling me what to do. That's a good start. I'm reading books, man. So I'm resourcing up to get there. Step number 5, and again, applicable for the health thing, applicable for the business thing, is choosing faith over fear. because every single day you're gonna get challenged. Right. And the more awareness we have, that the more fear that you're facing is literally, it's just an indicator that you're going to grow. So the more I'm fearing something, like the more I think about and fear being on that stage, like, shirt off, like posing, I got to learn how to pose and stuff. Like, it's so crazy. But the more I fear is the biggest breakthrough is going to come from that. So I'm actually excited about the fear instead of being bummed out, instead of being stuck. And so that scenario is just key to just live by that every day. And so those 5 steps is like it's my main thing, man, is you can apply that to love. I won't go into it now just for time, but I did literally the exact same process. I have a tattoo of the woman I wanted to meet. No, I'm kidding. Don't have the tattoo. It's like right here in my butt. No, but I declared it in a room, 350 people on a stage. Like when I saw you guys at Thrive, I declared I was going to do this fitness competition. Yeah. And like, dude, I was 15, 16, 70 pounds heavier than I am now. And I'm freaking doing it because I have no choice. If I don't do it, you guys will be like, oh man, that dude's full of crap. Like he didn't do it. Like I stood up on a stage in front of 350 people and I said, the next time you see me, I'm going to be engaged. And I said, let me read you my letter. Pulled out my letter. And I shared a story about what my life and who my wife would be like. People came up to me after that event and said, where is she? I want to meet her. She sounds amazing. And I said, no, you don't understand. That letter was about what she's going to be like. So I'm really clear on that vision. Love at first sight. She's going to be a model, like dark hair, green eyes, like all. And they're like, well, so is she here? I'm like, no. That's my letter as if it happened. And they're like, so she's not. I'm like, no. They're like, but you said you're going to be engaged in a year. And I'm like, yeah. They're like, but you don't even. And I'm like, no, I'm not dating anyone. I'm like, I'm just going to do it. And they're like, well, that's crazy. And it happened, dude. That's the power of our minds.
Yeah, I love it. And thanks for sharing those 5 steps. And I think that what really stood out too was just that you had your vision. Chris and I are huge proponents on sticking to a vision, setting those goals, and you were persistent and you chose, faith instead of fear. And I think too, what really stood out too was your mom, telling you that she believed in you. And I think that's so overlooked as, with parents these days. And some kids just need that one phrase just to feel that love, to just get that spark and ignite that fire in them. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
And just before we move on to the next question, can you just repeat those 5 steps? Because I think that's a lot of value that the listeners can get out of. I got a lot of value out of that when we went to Thrive, and I want everybody to really do this.
Yeah. So first one is just clarify your vision. Okay. So it's vision. The second one is your declaration. So speaking it out publicly so that you have built-in accountability and you've got a date when it's going to happen. Step 3 is writing the letter to yourself as if it's already happened. That is the big visualization technique Navy SEALs use, a lot of celebrities, Olympic athletes, and that's to get yourself into it's allowing yourself, if you don't have that mom or you don't have a coach, someone that believes in you, that becomes your belief because it's such repetition every single day. And then step number 4 is resourcing up, which is, do what you've ever got to do. I mean, hey, if you need to borrow money to get someone or a mentor to help you achieve that result, it's going to change your life. Find a way. Be resourceful. And then step number 5 is just choose faith over fear daily.
Awesome. Love it. Okay. So the next question that I want to segue into is, so you talked a lot about business failures. You actually went through a ton of adversity, right? And you kind of got out of it. So I want to know, how did the Life on Fire kind of evolve out of all of this stuff, all these learning lessons, all this adversity that happened?
Yeah, so Life on Fire came out because when I had sold my company, which was called New Media 2.0, I had to do an earnout, which is, everyone thinks that selling a business is like the end all be all. And literally every person that I know that sold a business, I mean, a lot of high level dudes, that it's not what they expected. And so what I realized is that I built something that was really helping people in business to make more money, which is a good service. And I enjoyed it because my target market was authors, speakers, and coaches. So I got to work with John Assaraf and like really cool, interesting people. But when I sold it, I all of a sudden went from doing what I loved to now, I mean, we started doing business with Safeco Insurance. We did a big deal. So we ended up in the insurance industry, and my partners took me into a whole different direction. And when you do an earnout, you are essentially on the hook for revenue projections. I was the CEO. I was on the hook for all kinds of things, and it wasn't fun anymore. And so at that point, it was only about the money because it no longer was fun. I had to stay on board for 2 years to get the money that I would make from the sale. I gave him a year, and then after that, I said, you know what, keep the rest of the money. I'll give you the equity, because I actually retained 37.5% of the equity, so you can have the equity. Keep the rest of your money. I just want to be happy. I just want to be happy. I want to love what I do. I want to change the world. I want to help people. And so what I realized is that I wanted to live my life to the fullest in every regard. And so when I was looking at the whole scenario, I realized that it's not just money, because I had a bunch of money and I was so disappointed. I went from living in a dump in Connecticut to living literally on the beach in San Diego in a beautiful spot overlooking the ocean. I went from my grandmother's couch to like a beautiful sick couch, you know what I mean? And like all kinds of cool stuff. And it was like, I made it, right? I made it. But quite frankly, that was as low, if not lower, than when I was 213 pounds, 55 grand in debt. I had money, so maybe it wasn't as bad, but it was so low because it was such a difference in what I expected. I put my whole life and sacrificed my 20s. People would go on spring break. Heck no, I was working. People would do this. Heck no, I was working. I sacrificed everything. I didn't live in my 20s. I was such a bullish, hustling entrepreneur. I missed out on a lot of life. And what I realized is that it's not the destination, because tomorrow is not guaranteed. Anything can happen to any of us. We all have heard stories of, or we all know someone that unexpectedly dies, or you think about someone that gets a terminal illness, they get cancer, and all of a sudden they start living. They got 6 months left. They start living, making up for all the lost time, right? And what I realized is that all that sacrifice, for what? For freaking money? Well, I'm no happier. So I'm like, what the hell? I'm no happier. So I realized that it's not the destination, it's the journey. And so I realized that I want to help people live a journey worth living. And so I then drilled that down and said, you know, what can I call something that is the end outcome? And the end outcome to me is living your life on fire. So what is a life on fire is, in my opinion, is there's 4 embers to it. So it's like it's money. You got to have that dialed in, or else your life will be difficult and challenging, and it won't be fun. You got to have your health dialed in. So quite frankly, just being transparent, is that I've got money dialed in, I've got love dialed in, and then there's health, and then faith. So money, love, nailed it. My faith has been great, nailed it. But like health for me has been out of balance. So while I could be doing great in those areas, if my health, like I literally, like last year I was getting diagnosed with all kinds of funky stuff, like really bad stuff that was going to be like taking me out of the game early stuff. And it's like your life isn't on fire if I've got it all except my freaking health. So for me, life on fire is I want to help people have it all, which is money, it's your health, love, and faith. And so the thing is, I used to think I was living the life on fire, and until I really got into my faith. And for me, it's like I would encourage anyone to explore your spirituality, because it's almost like, I think of it like this, where it's like you think you're living your life on fire. So if you've got money down, health and love down, cool. You throw in this other area, this other dimension of faith, and whatever your denomination is, like whatever your spiritual background is, cool. But like, to me, it opened up such a whole new like dimension of life that it's impossible for me to fathom my life being on fire without this connection to source. You know, for me, it's God. But like so part of what I'm excited about is that, you know, some people are being inspired to just pursue their faith, and they're realizing that, holy crap, there's a whole nother side to it, you know? So that is the four embers of a life.
And I love that, because that's something we talk about in our book, is the 4 pillars of life that I'm huge on. I know Eric's huge on, and we're trying to advocate that to our clients, our community: health, wealth, love, and happiness. So I love that.
Yeah, totally.
So Nick, let's transition into the daddy life. So you just became, you know, a father, which congratulations again to you and your wife. You guys are just really awesome, you know, high energy people. I love you guys. So my question is, you know, how has that really transitioned with like your work balance life, you know, becoming a father?
Yeah, I mean, he came 6.5 weeks early. So we had everything planned. Everything was dialed in, had it all mapped out. And then the little guy comes 6.5 weeks early, total urgency, just like his dad, just like fired up. And it threw a massive monkey wrench into everything. It's right before we had a huge live event. I mean, it was the ultimate like curveball. And you know what? It just like it was such an amazing process that there's just it's like words can't describe like the love you experience and everything. And I'm really happy that I've been able to carve out time to be there. My whole intention of all this is I want to, be a good dad and be a good husband. And so it's been really fun being able to have like the moments with him. And I've had to really make a lot of changes to the calendar, to how I do business. It's forcing me to think completely differently about the entire company, because before, even though my quality of life has been good, I want to grow, but I need to do it in less hours. And so I feel like it's almost like if you can think about if for someone that doesn't have children, if we all built our business as if we have kids, it'd create a lot more leverage, a lot more freedom. And so it's been an amazing process with them, but it's also really forced me to think differently about the business. And it's stretched me to we've been working on hiring, we've been working on all kinds of things to really have that freedom in our lifestyle. So it's been amazing. Little guy's awesome. I was just hanging with him before you guys we hopped on.
Yeah, that's awesome. Amazing. Okay, I'm going to give you a little scenario here. So you're given this ultimate opportunity here. You get 30 seconds to make a 30-second video that's going to go absolutely viral. It's going to go on Facebook. It's going to go on YouTube. It's going to get probably over close to 1 billion views. It's going to get probably over a million shares, right? What would that 30-second message be to everybody, and why?
Yeah, 30-second message would be, I would have them think about, I would take them back to their childhood, because everyone can relate to being a child. I would take them back to their dreams. I'd have them do a visualization and get so clear on what are those big dreams that they've had in their life, the things that they used to think about at night, that they used to just fantasize and think about. And then I would have them think about where they're at today and why they're not living those dreams. I'd help them see that they're not freaking living. 99% of people aren't living, that they've have these big dreams, but no one goes for them because they're settling in the career, they're settling in the relationships, and they're not fully going for them. And so I would help them see that if they had $1 billion in their checking account, and if that money were removed from the equation, what would they do with their life? Because when we get the person in the right state of mind and they answer the question of, if you had $1 billion in your checking account after you've traveled, you've given, what would you do with your time? If money didn't matter, what would you do with your time? You know what that question does is it forces someone to get really real and clear on where, like, they probably wouldn't work where they're working. Some people would be like, well, I love music. It's like we had a woman that answered this question at our event. She is a talented musician. She loves it. If she had $1 billion in her checking account, she'd only do music. And I said, so Lakeisha, why are you cutting hair all day? Why? Because I can't do that, Nick. How am I going to monetize it? So you know what she did? Vision. She declared that she was going to make $5,000 in music sales in a 7-day period. She declared, ran through the process, and did it. So I would help them see that if they take money out of the equation, they can bring those childhood dreams back, and they can literally live those dreams if they've got the guts to do the vision, declaration, letter, resource up, and faith over fear.
Yeah, that's a great message. And that actually reminds me of, a lot of people in life right now, they're in life and business, they're playing to not lose instead of playing to win. So that's a great message. Yeah, that's powerful. Yep. So let's hop into some quick, rapid, dynamic questions. You ready for those?
Yep. Yeah.
So if you could have dinner with one person, dead or alive, who would that person be, and what would the question be to that person?
Yeah, one person, dead or alive. I'd probably go with Zig Ziglar. Zig Ziglar is an absolute legend in personal development, and he was just so wise. So I would ask Zig, after all his life experiences, what is his advice for a 35-year-old man who just had a kid, and what his life would be to create freedom and leverage in the business.
Oh, that's great. All right, Nick, so what do you like to do for fun? And don't hold back on us, man.
Yeah, fun is I love racing cars. So I've got a 99 Dodge Viper, so we've taken it to the track. Megan enjoys it too, which is cool. So that's another big mission on my freedom side is I want to do a lot more racing. So I want to go to driving schools. I'm like a lot of entrepreneurs, I'm ADD with things. And when you're doing 100 and you're cranking through a turn and you got cars around you, you can't do anything but focus on that. And it's the biggest rush I've ever had. So yeah, racing cars. I love live music. So an ideal night out with Megan, and hey, we've been bringing Aiden with us or with friends, is live music, cover band, one dude on a guitar being able to request songs and sit in there with a delicious beer. Now, I haven't had the beers in a while, but I tell you, once I do that dang competition, we're going to go right out to some live music. I'm going to get myself a dang beer.
There we go.
There you go. So if you could have one...
And another quick one is I'm actually a gamer. I'm a gamer. A lot of people don't know this. It's actually slightly embarrassing to admit, but I'm a beast in gaming. I'm not like a Call of Duty online guy because I get smoked by all the young kids. But my brother and I, we still catch up online. We'll play Borderlands or whatever. So I have some iPhone games. So I still, that for me is like meditation. It gets my mind off things and just game it up.
There you go. If you could have one destination place to live besides San Diego, because San Diego's gorgeous, where would that place be?
Yeah, I mean, another spot would be good to be, I'm from Connecticut, so to be home base at near family, friends, having an East-West Coast scenario would be cool. Yeah, I do that for the family side. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, just give me one sentence and why you decided to compete. Just one sentence.
To prove that you can literally do anything you put your mind to.
Okay. Awesome. Okay, Nick, so before we get into the last question that we ask all of our guests, I just want to take a moment to acknowledge you, and I know this is coming from Chris too.
Absolutely.
We first met you at Thrive, which was an amazing event. I feel like Thrive changed our lives for the better, and I just want to say thank you for everything you've done. You and your wife have been just so humble, down to earth, very helping to Chris and I. I think what you guys are doing is really, really great. I'm going to support your vision going forward, so I just want to say, keep grinding, man. I think you're doing awesome. I know you're going to kill your competition, so...
Thank you, dudes. I really appreciate it.
100%. You're very welcome. So the last question is, what's your definition of living a dynamic lifestyle?
So definition of dynamic lifestyle, I would say just being able to have freedom, to live on your own terms. I would say to stretch yourself and to utilize the potential that you have. So we're all given gifts. So for you to be able to explore and unleash that potential, and to really, we got to keep mining for it every single year, like as we grow. So it's like the more you can drill down and soak up all that, or take that potential and get it out and unleash it out into the marketplace to fully live. It's like, in my view, God's given me certain gifts, and when I meet my maker one day, I want to be proud knowing that I didn't leave anything on the field, that everything that he put inside of me, that all those gifts, all that potential, that I utilized it, and I utilized it for good. It wasn't just selfish. It was like I changed the world in my own way, made a huge ripple effect, and lived out all that potential.
Love it. All right, Nick. So where can our listeners support you and connect with you?
Yeah, so lifeonfire.com is our website, and definitely connect on Facebook. So just Nick Unsworth on Facebook. I share a lot of cool, interesting, crazy behind the scenes stuff, which is fun. So I would say, lifeonfire.com or on Facebook is definitely cool.
Awesome. So we'll have all that in the show notes. Again, Nick, thank you so much for taking time with us. Really appreciate it, man.
Yeah, appreciate it, guys.
Okay, we'll talk soon, buddy.
Thanks, Nick.
Cool.
Later.
Thanks, guys, for tuning into our video. We really, really appreciate it. And before you guys go, make sure to subscribe below to our newsletter so you guys can get our free and new book, The 4 Pillars of Becoming Dynamic Within Fitness.